Hello, my name's Kismeteer. You're here because you want to hear about role specialization. Whenever you guys have started EVE, everyone just kind of wanders around inside the different ships. They're told, you need to get this ship, you need to fly this ship, you need to fly that ship. It gets a little intimidating. The goal of my topic is to go ahead and find roles that are suited for your likes. You have a starting ship where you can go ahead and basically learn if you're going to like that particular specialization, but that's the general topic. So who am I? I am a terrible pilot. This is my worst day. I lost a devoter, 2 sabers, and I stacked like, I don't know, 13 days of jump fatigue. It was not a fun day because we lost. It was not fun, but it happens. But the key is that I learn from my failures. I might be a terrible pilot, but I'm going to keep trying. Persistence turns into a lot. So who am I? I'm in backcountry. You might know Baltic. He's going to be speaking later. We're in Pandemic Legion. I can use every module. I can fly every ship. It's taken me a long time. I think I know everything. I don't, but I like to talk like I do. I run a overview pack called KissOver. It's mostly for newbies. It's a single pack that you can run everything through. It's in my bio. I was a logistics director with Goons for 6 years. I phoned out a lot of FCs. You might recognize a few of these. Some of them are the best FCs in the game. Some have stopped and are now playing like Elder Scrolls Online instead, but you know, we're hoping someday they all come back and play. I tend to dress like characters from The Big Lebowski at EVE Vegas. Last night I was the dude, tonight I am the Jesus. I don't know if I pull it off well, but you know, I'm gonna keep on trying. I don't know if there's much more to say, but the key here is I use these kill mails of my losses to show a story. I remember what happens. The reason why kill mails are important to pilots is you remember that I was there. I messed up here, but I killed this other guy. You remember the stories about that. Even years later, I still have kill mails that I like, wow, I remember when that happened. It was a big deal. I want to thank the people who helped me with this. Kasha Mayan, also in backcountry, he gave me some really good help with that, and I have a typo already. All of my FCs for making me a better pilot and not getting too mad when I mess up. I want to thank CCP for wasting 13 years of my life, and all the other people who help put up my stupid nonsense. So your FC says, who can switch? Everyone is flying the wrong ships. He doesn't have anything he needs. The FC basically needs pilots to go ahead and show up for his fleets. If he doesn't have anyone show up, he can't go anywhere. So he needs all these roles filled. And those roles are DPS, Logi, Tackle, Support. If he doesn't have these roles, he can't do his job. And then your alliance doesn't get what they want. Your PvP group, when I say PvP group, I could be a corp, it could be an alliance, it could be an entire coalition. But you want to go ahead and pick 2 roles to specialize in. The reason why is that you never know when you're going to need that particular role in your PvP group. And this can be for small gang, this can be for large gang. Large gang or large groups, they tend to use a bit more. So you need to specialize because it takes so much less time to train it. I mean, you're talking about years of training difference. Unless you're going to inject and you're crazy. But I do not recommend that. It's like crack. But the thing is, by specializing and doing one job well, you're going to do it a lot better than just someone who randomly picks it up and just occasionally goes ahead and does, you know, something. And you can be counted to show up. So basically, they're like, we need these bursts, we need a decent Dictor pilot, and they're all like, let's go find that guy. And basically, every single group in the game. So even if your current group doesn't need it, other groups will. There is a continuous effort for you to go ahead and develop these skills so you can go ahead and be helpful for someone else. The reason we play this game is for PvP. If you want to go play, you know, pick rocks and WoW, you totally can. So what does everyone need to be able to do? Everyone needs to be able to do light tackle. This is where everyone starts out. You need to fly some sort of light tackle only so you can go ahead and make sure you guys catch the things so you can kill them. If you don't have tackle, we've all been there. I believe everyone in the entire game should try FCing once. You'll know pretty quickly if you feel you're suited for it. You'll know when you're terrible at it, like me, but you'll keep trying, and you'll get better. But the thing is that everyone should at least try to take a small group out. It's really simple. You just say, come, let's go do this. Everyone needs to know at least what PvE and industry, player versus environment, they need to understand a little bit about it. You need some way to make money. You can just plex your account. And then once you have those ideas done, you have the other things that everyone always trains, DPS. It's just such a slog to go through, because the meta changes so quickly that you're flying Retribution, you finally get into Retribution, and then now it's on the Feroxes, and now Ferox is out, and Omen Navy issues are in, and they're just this constant churn of trying to catch up the weapon systems. Bombers are important only if your group does bombing, because you need a critical mass. If you don't reach those critical mass, you can't do nearly as much damage. Bombers are also very helpful for a lot of other things. Logistics, the space priests, without that, that's what makes a PvP group effective. If you do not have effective logistics, the ability to go ahead and rep people, you need to get at least 4 and it's something you should try. There's smaller, lower ways to go ahead and try that. It takes I'll get to that. Anyway, you need capitals only to move your stuff around. It's a fact of life now, and the entire escalation thing is crazy, but it is what it is. So this is the role list. I'm going to be going through a slide on each of these, so you don't have to memorize them or something like that, but you get the kind of idea. These are the different roles you could specialize in that could be helpful for your group. So what is a PvP group? You usually start out with some leadership, guy and his friends, they go ahead and find someone who can actually be an FC. All he's able to do is to motivate people, log in, join my group, we're going to go kill a bunch of stuff, and then you guys are going to find nothing, and then do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day. It happens all the time. You have your PvE group, the guys who make money. You have your support people that are help everything else. Under the fleet commander, you have your general makeup of a fleet. When I say a fleet, this is where it starts crossing the boundary of 20 ships. You can do a small group with just this stuff. You can do mostly in those cases, a lot of time it's just almost all DPS and then 1 tackle and then 1 logi. But the thing is that as you start to develop, as you get bigger, as you get more powerful, you start to add on parts that go ahead and help you. You have your builders, and these are the people that go ahead and build everything for your group. You have your doctrine planners, the people who say, this is the current meta, we should do this. Then you have the different types of scouts. They basically can go out and find enemy activity. They can go ahead and you have probing scouts, which basically can get you warp and zero on people. Or the combat scouts, you have the probing scouts that use wormholes. Wormholes are extremely powerful to do force projection across the entire map. It takes a while to go ahead and do it, but it's totally worth it. You then have the different parts of the fleets, interdictors or tackle, light tackle. You have heavy tackle, that's Hictors. You have command bursts, which everyone needs now. And then you have capitals. Capitals, don't get in a capital fight you cannot escalate your way out of, or just be aware that you're just going to lose everything. And it's fine. We're here to fight. I'm just saying. So basically, these can be grouped into 3 different sections in your PvP group. You have your planning section. This is where your alliance leader sits, your FC, your doctrine planner, your scouts, the people that are kind of organizing, the people that are going to go ahead and make this a fun time for you guys. You have, that didn't work. You have the thing that everyone needs to be able to do a little bit. Not all of these. You should at least try them. You don't have to specialize them. You don't have to be a logi guy if you don't like it. You might not show up on kill mails. Like I said, kill mails tell stories, but you can usually show up on one, so at least they'll show up on the battle report. And the battle report is usually enough. And then you have the specialization. These guys are so focused on this one thing. They do it so well. If you like doing it, you can play any time of the day. It's great. So let's start with the first one, player versus environment. This is a kill mail that I had not too long ago. You can see this is the worst ship, or worst fitting. As you can see, it is a shield fit Pontifex with a whole bunch of DDAs. I AFK'd on a gate, and then Lex Arson from Adversity came and killed me. It was kind of embarrassing because I was like, how did I get my pod? And then I looked around and I didn't realize it for another day that I lost this ship. So who can go ahead and do PvE? Everyone. It's the first thing we start out in. It's the way we're taught. This is how EVE is. The people that are good at it, the people that are able to go ahead and do that mindless repetitive task, targeting, things like that. The things you can start in, exploration is what I've been suggesting to people to start out in, because doing exploration makes you better at the game. It makes you more engaged. You understand how wormhole works. You get to learn to dodge gate camp, stuff like that. Eventually, though, you go to VNI ratting, and that's the current meta. And then you also have missions and high sec. But you're going to try all these anyway. Later on, you'll get into crazy, amounts of mindless thing. And then you have light tackle. Light tackle is the other place people start out in. This was a fight we had in Delve being run by Kono. And then we lost basically all of our tackle. We lost some cruisers, we lost some frigates, we lost the Force Recon. It was not a good day. This is against IT Alliance. And anyway, but the thing is that if you fly tackle, you tend to die. So everyone needs to be able to do it, only so you can say, scramble right now, let's catch these guys. When I say light tackle, this can be frigates, it can be assault frigates, it can be interceptors, it can be, to a degree, Dictors. The people that are good with it are the ones who are persistent. The ability to go ahead and reship, rejoin the fight, get right back in there is really, really important. Where you can start is frigates. And it just takes under a month to go ahead and get under this thing. I have a newbie, Metanova. She is trying to learn to do tackling. She has lost 30 ships so far. And I appreciate her persistence, because she's still continuing to jump into Atron, get right back out there, and keep on trying. Later on, you tend to do interceptors. You go ahead and use assault frigates. And if you want to know the current meta, you just look what Mr. Rive has been losing recently. He is one of the better tacklers that I know. You then have the main group of almost everybody's, DPS. The problem with the DPS is that you're constantly doing this escalation of you're trying to catch up the current meta. That at this point, the meta was Macarials. We were all flying Macarials, all very expensive. We had a big fight. I had a bubble go up on me and I was on the edge of the bubble, almost about to get out, and then got zonked by Goon Fleet. So what are you going to do? I was really depressed about this for a while, because I was like, oh man, I was so close to getting out. But, that's Eve. So who does this? Everyone. You got to get on the kill mails. Once again, the kill mails relate the story. And if you don't have enough DPS, you can't break people's tanks. This is generally the catch-all, where everyone he has all the support roles. Your FC here has all the support roles. You then go ahead and say, everybody else, jump in DPS. The starting ships, these vary. This is the problem with doing DPS. It takes about 3 months to get into the first one. It takes like a month to get in the second one. Once you start talking T2 guns, it sometimes takes like a month and a half. It adds up just exponentially, and it's a pain in the butt. Basically, you end up having to get every single ship, every single weapon system, and then all the max DPS skills. It takes forever. So this is why I don't always I recommend people go for a specialization first, and then go ahead and consider getting into DPS ships. If you have a small group, though, you might need to go ahead and be a little bit more flexible and aim on those DPS ships first. The Omen Navy issue is a great one. You have the PvP soloers. This is my example of PvP soloing. I thought I could go ahead and just swing by this guy, blow him off the field, and it did not work well for me. It was kind of embarrassing, and yeah. So, oh well, my poor Raptor. The people that are good at soloing are people with no friends, streamers, antisocial people in a very social game. The people that are actually good at it, though, have to be great at Eve. It is really hard when you have the entire galaxy against you. You don't know how many people are on the other side of this gate. You don't know how many people are coming. You know that they know what you're in, so they're going to bring the counter to that. The starting ships, though, frigates, cruisers, faction cruisers are really powerful. They offer a lot of variability. It takes a couple months to get decent at it. Later on, you can go ahead and fly anything. Shout out to Big Miker for his ability to go ahead and just show up with kind of random ships and get a bunch of kills and probably die in the process. But it's a video game. We play this to go ahead and have fun. This is something you could like doing. Getting your first kill is really, really hard. Just warning you. But don't lose hope. We have the main role of all of these PvP groups. You need an FC. The problem is that it's not always easy to tell who's going to be good at it and who's not. This is me being very bad at it. We're on the left there. We basically were going to kill a couple bubbles. We were going to go ahead and meme on some guys, and instead they brought 2 Gilas and just completely destroyed us. So we lost our Dictors, and we lost in tackle, and then everything else got out. So, but it was a little embarrassing. So this is my attempt at FCing. I am not a good FC. But I'm good at backsitting and yelling at other FCs are good. And they're good at not killing me. So sometimes. Everyone should try it. I'm not kidding. If you have started playing the game, there is nothing better than a newbie-led ship when they basically are jumping through gates and they're like, there's reds on the other side of this gate, and you jump in and you realize that they're talking about the rats. These things happen. Everyone should try it. The people that are good with it are good at multitasking. They're good with organization. They're good with spatial. So the idea of spatial is that you can go ahead and know the battlefield. You can keep your eye on multiple things. A lot of people get tunnel vision. I definitely tunnel vision the hell out of everything. And they have to be somewhat good with people, but there are exceptions. You then have your starting ships. To do FCing is tackle. You're going to die as the FC if you're flying tackle, but you're going to make sure you get the thing pointed, the thing dies. You're more likely to have people come back out if you're willing to die for the fleet. Later on, command ships, the monitor is super easy to get into. The force recons are really popular with people like ELO. So you then have the Recon Scout. The Recon Scout is the guy that you go ahead and have just sit out in people's systems and figure out what they're doing. This was me and a Falcon. I was sitting inside of a Hoss. I was going to go ahead and just nudge my way outside the shields and see what percentage of the shields were at, and yeah, they caught me. It wasn't fun. Anyway, so who can do this? Anyone with a set of eyes and a mic. You need a cloak usually, but that's even negotiable. The people that are good with it, though, are people that are very good with patience. Watching and reporting, they have this many people formed, they have this many people formed, they have this many dreads. Accurate communications are really important, too. To start out, you just need an interceptor. It's really simple. And good recons are hard to find and it's people that can play a lot. Later on, you get into T3 cruisers, you get into recons, covops, but T3s are usually where everyone ends up going. The Combat Scout, this is where I went ahead and probed down a Titan. I thought I was all smart, and I warped at the wrong range. He basically decloaked me and then shot me and killed me. So yeah, shout out to Super Twinkie. Combat Scout is basically good at doing warp to zero on people. The people that are good at it, though, are able to go ahead and make sure they can keep track of multiple things going on. So you know when fleets are warping off, when they're warping back in. Finding the right ranges is really important, too. The starting ships, you can do an interceptor with expanded probe launcher. It does not fit easily. It is a very tough fit. It is better to go with a covops. The covops aren't that expensive. Realize that you can use these skills for other things, like exploration. Exploration is an easy way to go ahead and learn more of the game. You then have the probing scout, which is what you do for exploration. This loss was realized that modules aren't on here because this is before they were recording what modules you had on. But this is when I double-clicked the cloak and tried to burn back the gate. It did not go well. And yeah, elitist ops, man. They were really good around VFK around this time. So anybody that's good at that can do this, if you live in a wormhole group, this is like your bread and butter. Everyone needs to know how to do this if you're in a wormhole group. If you're a large PvP group, you might want to find a hole to Esoteria, Cobalt Edge. You might want to find it way out in the middle of nowhere. Declan, Delve. The people that are good at it are the people with patience, persistence, and no life beyond finding out, oh, there's one more hole in Thera. Let me find out where it goes to. Starting ships, probe frigates. They're really simple to get into. There's not even, the time to get into them and doing it, you need like level 2. Once you have level 2 in the skills, you can start probing right away. It's not that hard. There's some mechanics to it. There's a lot of tutorials out there. Later on, you do a covops, you can do an Astero. Astero is good because you can defend yourself. T3s are pretty good for it. Recons are used for it often. You have command bursts. These used to be known as links. This is a damnation I lost against CVA. It was one of my more expensive ship losses. I got basically primaried like right off the bat. They just blew through all of our things. And luckily, it was just sensor links. I think we managed to save the armor links. So who can do command bursts? These are people with a ton of SB. I do not recommend going down this route unless you're willing to go ahead and remap to charisma. And when you remap to charisma, you realize that you have made a horrible, horrible mistake. It takes a long time. So you need 3 of these. The things that make you good at it, though, if you're always there, you're willing to miss out on KMLs because sometimes the rangers are wrong, and you're good at getting your pod out only because you want to keep your command link, your mind link active. Starting ships, command destroyers. The Pontifex is good, the Bifrost is good. You can at least provide some links for small gangs in that way. You want to pick one that makes sense, work with other people. You can do some of the battle cruisers, but it takes 8 months because you're looking at how much stuff you have to go ahead and train. A lot of times you need to switch links as well, and that can be very painful. Later on, you can do the command ships. Command ships take a long time to train. T3 cruisers can do it, but not very good. And then you need, of course, the mind links associated with them. Then we have everyone's Space Priest. This is my last set of kill mails or losses associated with different simis. Let's see, Simi, Guardian, Orneris, and Basilisk. So one of everything over a period of 2 years or something like that. So I don't know. It helps to be able to fly all of them. They're used for different things. Everyone should try it. It's actually easier to try than you think, but it has 15% of your fleet, sometimes 10, sometimes 8, depends on how many people, sometimes 20. The things that make people good at it, though, dealing with chaos, because Logi can be a little chaotic. Being telepathic helps a lot, because you know that this guy runs A to B, A to Z. You can go ahead and add them to your watch list ahead of time. The starting ships, you can do an Osprey. Ospreys are super easy to get into. To run it for a while, it takes a little bit. To fly like a Scimitar or something like that, that's 6 months. And then it's another month for Logi 5. And that's non-negotiable in the future. If you say, I want to go ahead and do the Space Priest, you'll be welcome in almost every kind of fleet, like bar almost none. And you'll be able to go ahead and help constantly. I recommend everyone train it, try it, see how they like it. This is my preferred ship class. You might see I've lost these a little bit more aggressively than the last group. These are Sabres. They're interdictors. 71 of my last 226 losses have been, 77 of 226 losses have been Sabres for me. So 1/3 of all of my losses in all of EVE have been Sabres. Who can do, basically Dictors are good at separating fleets. It's one of the few ships in the game where you can make a huge difference. The fact that you can go ahead and use your own self-direction to figure out what you need to do next with your Dictor can sometimes make FCs upset. It can totally get you killed and shot by your own FC. But be able to get away is very important. It is more important that you're able to go ahead and survive for later in the fight than it is to get the second bubble or something like that. If you already have bubbles stacked on top of each other, it's better for you to cloak up. Knowing the micro warp drive trick with cloaking is very important. There's no substitute. There's no temporary, kind of dictoring. You can do like anchored bubbles, but that's not the same. But I recommend the Saber. The Saber, they all have different abilities. The Saber is the best to survive. It's also the fastest. Heretic is good if you're going to be using armor reps because it can get really tanky. The Flycatcher is really good at DPS, and I don't know who flies Arises other than when they get super, super cheap. They were my favorite for a while because I was doing them with blasters and just, I don't know, it's not the best fit. You then have the other end of that coin, which is heavy tackle. This was me trying to mess with Fraternity, and I thought I could go ahead and get my bubble down in time. It did not go well, so what are you going to do? So who can do heavy tackle? Balls of steel. You have to be willing to go ahead and put that bubble up. Realize you're going to get fired on, and no one can help you, so you just got to survive. People that are good at, though, are good at spatial awareness. Make sure the bubble's covering everything you need to, making sure you're close enough to your logi so they can still rep you, knowing when to broadcast. If you broadcast early and your logi try to rep you and you still have your bubble up, they'll get really mad at you. I've never done that, yes. Anyway, starting ships, you can do in an assault frigate. I tried this the other day with an assault frigate. It did not go well, and my FC got super mad at me. But these things happen. You can also do it with battle cruisers and cruisers, but really, later on, you're looking at heavy interdictors. You're looking at force recons, things like the Lachesis, the Hugin, stuff like that. You can even start mixing it with the cloaky ones for more diverse groups. Booshers is the shorthand for command destroyers. This is what my presentation is titled off of. I just got into one, and I immediately went on a fleet, and I immediately boosted our entire group off the gate when we were trying to go through it. And so like most of the fleet jumped away with me. And then Thomas Lear's primaried me, and I died. So it was a good time. I regret nothing. I definitely learned how to use Command Destroyer, though. I have never boosted anyone other than that ever. Yes. Anyway, the people that everyone can do it. You want to make sure that you have a good working knowledge of Eve. There's a lot of things you can do in a boosher. You can boost bubbles away. You can take entire groups. You can go ahead and boost tackle onto things. There's a ton of things you can do with it. The people that are good with it are things that you have a good rapport with your FC. If you have a poor rapport like me, you're going to go ahead and have a bad time because you're going to boost at the wrong time. But having good spatial awareness and how far away 100 km is very important. It's once again, you got to go straight to the only ship that does this, which is the Bifrost Pontifex. You can use some of the micro-warp jump drives on some of the larger ships, like the battleships and stuff like that. It's not the same. You want to take the entire group, and then you want to do all of them. You eventually start going, links, command bursts, but that's a long time. You then have the Doctrine planner. This is the guy that goes ahead and says, we're going to fly these because the meta is really strong. I had this great idea to go ahead and build a new mission running ship. The reason this kill medal is important is the value. If you can see there, 361 mil for this was a lot of money for me at the time. I decided to go through Rancer, which is always a mistake. Just go around it. It's fine. You're gonna be fine. But the Doctrine planner is someone who's good with EFT, good with PIFA. I use PIFA personally. But the people that are good with it, I have no idea what makes them good at it, other than they're good at remembering, they're good at arguing their case. You can only get in so many arguments with people before you realize you're just not that great at it. But everyone likes EFT warning. They go ahead and say, but on paper, this is great, until you use it, and then you realize it's terrible. To start on it, download PIFA. Or you can use the in-game browser to get good at it. It's going to take about a year of playing Eve in general. And then later on, you're going to try the new ships and see how you like them, how they perform, how they handle. So building is important to the game. This was an example of me deciding to take Trit across, and I got caught by a lone bomber. It was very sad, and lost my 85 that had been with me for a long time. The people that can go ahead and do this, the people who are lazy, who are good with their money, but really just a ton and ton of monotony, spreadsheets, jump freighting, all the stuff that can put me to sleep now anyway. Having a lot of resources helps a lot, but to get started, you just need to have some ISK. And you can go ahead and start small. Basically, your alliance, your PvP group, most likely loses a certain amount of ships, a certain amount of ammo, stuff like that. You can start to build that to replace that. You then start building citadels to help you with that. Later on, you get to jump freighters. You start mining yourself. That's the big differentiator. As soon as you start mining to build your own empire, that helps a lot. You then have bombers. When I say bombers, I mean in general. It's where you're bombing entire fleets off the field. In this case, we were bombing Darkness, and we got caught in bubbles, and we died. So, and the thing is that bombing isn't terribly, it's not hard. Basically, you need 7 or 8 people to bomb in a group, because that's the most amount of damage you can do. You want to have that full-out group. The people that are good at it are able to go ahead and follow these instructions. They're align, land, align, decloak, bomb, warp out, don't deviate. If you do anything else, you might not hit the right target. Basically, when you're aligned to get warped in, you're going to land, you're aligned towards where you're going to aim your bomb, you launch it, and then you warp out. The starting ships, any bomber, ask your FC. You could ask Nova Valentis. He has very, very strong opinions on this. I've talked to him about it. He's in Bombers Bar. Bombers Bar is a fun group that shows up to fights and just bombs the crap out of everybody. And by the way, if you tell them to fight, they usually won't bomb you. They'll bomb who you're fighting. Later on, you get Covops 5. This is the big differentiator. The difference between Covops, was it 3 and 5 is something like, another 10% or something. It ramps up really crazy. So it's like 8K. On the other end of that spectrum, you have Blops, Black Ops. These are the guys that hang out in your systems trying to kill you. In this case, we were down in Delve with a polarized bomber. We were hanging out on gate. They warped in a supercarrier, and they killed us. And you shouldn't die. I got decloaked because I ran into something. It sucked. And it's very embarrassing when this happens. People who do this, assholes. They come in your ship, you're renting or whatever, and they're just going to hang out there just because, I don't know. But the thing is that it's incredibly fun. But the thing is that to be good at it, you need to have patience. You need to know when to warp out. It's more important you keep your ship alive than that they die. Starting ship, you can do this in a bomber, but later on you can go ahead and do this in a Black Ops battleship. You can even do it with cruisy capitals, very fast ones and stuff like that. If you go to watch Baltic's presentation later, I think he might be covering some of this. He is doing a lot of damage in Delve, just wandering around. You then have capitals. This is where the entire game tends to push you towards eventually. This was in DDAC-W. I was the last person on the field, thanks to the incredible power of the Rocal invulnerability. And this was a hell of a lot of fun. It was one of the best things I had done in the game, and it was great. Basically, everyone needs to get a capo only so you can move ships that are packed. Realize rigs aren't actually that expensive. They used to be really expensive. Even the T2 ones aren't that bad anymore. So you could go ahead and get someone to ship it with a jump freighter service, but it's not nearly as efficient as it is just dumping them all in your capital and just going. But the people that are good at it, they're okay with churning a lot of ISK. There's a lot of insurance you can get returned on it. Paying attention to your ship is really important. If you float off an Astor House, you will never hear the end of it. People make fun of you forever. The starting ships, pick a carrier, dread, or apostle. I recommend apostle if you're part of a large group because that's what everyone's getting to, or the Minakawa, or another one that is suited, but just focus on that one. And it's going to take 1.5 years of training time to get there. And it sucks because it's a long, long time. Later on, you're going to get the other two. You might go into a Rocal, you might go into a Super, you might get a Titan, you might get Titans. Because if you start talking about the current meta, you need Titans to go ahead and do any sort of damage, any heavy damage in heavy tie-dye. You then have capital reps. This is before the Apostle took over. You'll notice that I have been DD'd. I was on the undock of Saranin using tractor beams to salvage ships because I don't know, I was bored. And then, Patrick 99 Omega went ahead and did a drive-by. He did one early in the day. He attempted one, he failed, and I laughed at him, and then later on he got me. What are you gonna do? So everyone needs to be able to do this if you're part of a large group. If you're part of a small group, you don't really need it, but capital reps are not to be underjudged. They are so, so valuable. The people are good at, though, you need to have a lot of SP, you need to have 3 billion S to afford it, and then you need to have a reason why to use it. Starting ships, any facts by your group. Talk to your groups. They usually will recommendation which one to go with. The carrier skill book it requires like 500 million S. It's pretty expensive for what it is, versus a Dread, which is 100 mil. Later on, you're going to get both a combat and an emergency fax. Combat faxes tend to have a rep, and they can cycle. Emergency faxes are just pure buffer, and they're just for DDs because they got to get removed. So, why do you do this? That's all of them, by the way. So the reason why you want to go ahead and specialize is for this reason. To do all the things that I just went through is about 5.5 years of your life to go ahead and say, I want to just do everything. So it's tough. But as soon as you go ahead and start stripping down to, I'm just going to do the things in the everyone should do, the small list, it's only 1.25 years. Then when you go ahead and start adding a capital, maybe it ratchets up to 2.7 years. But if you can go ahead and pick one generalization, one specialization, and focus, you'll become a better pilot. It'll only take you 6 months to get where you need to be so you can be effective for your PvP group. And it's gonna make you a better pilot too, because you're gonna be doing just that one thing, you're gonna get better and better at it. So we go back to our picture of the organization. You find some place in this organization where you think you can make a difference. You wanna find, there's a starting ship you can start at, you can see, do I like doing this? Because I recommend you try it for about a week. If you're not getting a lot of combat, maybe you do it for a month. But the idea is you try something for a while. See if you like doing it. If you don't like doing it, then move on to something else. There's a ton of other specialties in here. But that's the thing, is that once you go ahead and find those groups, you can go ahead and say, this sounds interesting, you can do it. Like doing the Blops stuff is super easy to go ahead and do when you're not deployed, when you're not fighting. But by the way, I recommend everyone try Dictoring because it's great, but that's my personal preference. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, if you guys want to see a copy of this presentation, it's at kiss.wckg.net. I'm going to be adding it to my bio later. You can find my Kiss Over, which is my overview in my bio, and I have an in-game channel called Kiss Assist that I use to help newbies sometimes. I'll be happy to answer questions later, but that's my time. I want to thank you for attending. And I apologize if I am a huge know-it-all. I apologize. Anyway, thanks.